You commute. You hustle. You're trying to outrun inflation, crush office politics, maybe even launch that side gig. But something's stalled. You feel it. Look around. Picture those abandoned Circuit City stores, the ghost of Fannie Mae, Wells Fargo's scandal-scarred logo. These were giants. They imploded. Why? Here's the kicker from Jim Collins. Good is the enemy of great. That hits hard, right? The brutal truth? You aren't failing because you lack smarts. You're stalling because you're comfortable. You cling to good enough. We chase the next big to-do. But the real game changer? A ruthless stop-doing list. It unlocks 10x ROI. I'm serious. This strategy shatters your limitations. If this hits home for you, drop a like. But here is the scary part. The specific companies this book idolized actually crashed. The doom loop of mediocrity. You're pushing hard, right? You're innovating, launching new ideas, always looking for that next edge. You feel the pressure from inflation, office politics, maybe juggling a side hustle on top of everything else. But honestly, are you actually moving forward, or are you just running faster in place? Look, we distill the best books into actionable insights. We rip through the strategies and pull out what actually matters. This isn't a substitute, though. Nothing beats the original. Grab the book if you want the full deep dive. Today, we confront a brutal truth, the doom loop of mediocrity. You feel it, don't you? That grind. You pivot, you launch, you try another thing. It fizzles. Then comes the gut punch of disappointment. Rinse, repeat. That's the loop. It's the exhausted startup founder or middle manager who launches a new strategic initiative every Q3 just to look busy, burning cash without moving the needle. It's your side hustle that stalls after 3 months. It's the new fitness plan that crashes and burns. Here's the kicker. You can be working your tail off, pulling 60-hour weeks, and still be on that hamster wheel. Your revenue graph? Flatline. Your personal growth? Stagnant. It feels like you're running at full sprint, but the odometer in your personal or professional life barely nudges. It's exhausting. It's demoralizing. This isn't just not growing, it's active stagnation, because you're burning precious resources, time, energy, capital, just to stay still, especially with inflation eating away at every dollar. Honestly, the author crushes it on this next distinction, reaction-based versus concept-based management. You might think, what's the big deal? It's everything. Reaction-based? That's living in constant crisis. A competitor drops a new feature, you scramble to copy it. Sales dip, you discount everything. It's tactical firefighting, fueled by anxiety and a desperate need to appear productive. You're constantly putting out fires. Concept-based? This isn't just a strategy, it's a worldview. It's about understanding why things work, identifying core principles. You build systems that prevail, not just react. What does this mean for you? It means you stop chasing every shiny object. You develop a deep understanding, a single unifying idea that propels you forward rather than just patching holes. Now, let's get controversial. Our brains are wired for crisis. We prioritize the urgent over the important. The book calls this the bleeding neck concept. Think about it. A competitor undercuts you by 50%, all hands on deck. Your server crashes, everyone panics. We react. But chronic mediocrity, the slow, silent decay of market share, the gradual erosion of profit margins, the constant churn of initiatives that go nowhere, that's not a bleeding neck. That's a slow leak. And we let it fester. It's why you tolerate that clunky process for months, but a sudden system outage triggers an all-nighter. This isn't how you build sustainable growth. It's how you manage decline more dramatically. If any of this hits home for you, if you're nodding along right now, maybe drop a like. It tells us we're hitting the mark. If you feel like you're running fast but staying in place, you are suffering from the fox mentality. You need to become a hedgehog. The strategy that beats luck. Hedgehog concept. You're constantly chasing opportunity, juggling 3 side hustles, and feeling stretched thinner than a dollar bill in this economy. You're a web designer, an SEO guru, and a copywriter, right? And you're still wondering why that specialist down the street charges $500 an hour for one thing, and you're barely breaking even. This isn't bad luck, it's a strategic misfire. Here's the kicker. The most successful people and companies aren't just working harder, they're working smarter, with brutal focus. We're diving into the hedgehog concept, a strategy that shatters the illusion of multitasking and demands ruthless prioritization. The author, Jim Collins, lays out this simple yet profoundly difficult idea. Honestly, best in the world sounds a bit aspirational, almost delusional for someone grinding away in cubicle hell or trying to launch a side hustle. But the nugget of truth here is transformational. It forces you to define your core. Think of it as 3 overlapping circles. First, passion. What are you deeply passionate about? What truly ignites you? Not what sounds good on a resume, but what you crave doing. Second, best in the world. What can you actually be the best at? And I mean the best. Not pretty good or better than average. This isn't about your ego, it's about your market position. If you're a freelance web designer, SEO specialist, and copywriter, you're competing against singular experts in each field. Good luck winning that race. But if you specialize in, say, crafting killer sales copy specifically for SaaS companies, now you're onto something. Third, economic engine. What drives your profitability? What's the one thing that generates your cash flow? This is where many of us stumble, especially those of us trying to do all the things to pay the bills. Now, let's get controversial. Where these 3 circles powerfully intersect, that's your hedgehog. That's your unique superpower. The hard truth? Most of us are living outside that intersection. We're trying to be the jack-of-all-trades freelancer, constantly scrambling for clients because we offer everything but master nothing. We're trying to out-hustle inflation by adding more services when we should be sharpening one. This brings us to the crucial part, the economic denominator. It's not just profit, it's about profit per X. Collins highlights how defining your specific X unlocks massive clarity. Let's look at Walgreens. For years, they struggled. Then they asked the tough question, what's our true economic engine? They realized it wasn't profit per store or profit per square foot. Their core was actually profit per customer visit. This realization revolutionized their strategy. They started placing pharmacies at the front of the store, building drive-thrus. Why? Because the more frequent and convenient the customer visits, the more likely they were to pick up high-margin impulse buys. They doubled down on convenience for that specific denominator. For you, whether you're navigating office politics or scaling a side gig, this means asking, what's your profit per X? Is it profit per client? Profit per project? Profit per hour of focused work? If you're the multi-hyphenated freelancer, your profit per project for a general website build might be low because you're spending too much time learning new things for each project. Your profit per hour might be abysmal. But for that specialist charging $500 an hour for one thing, their profit per hour is through the roof because they've refined their process, they owned that niche. They've fired the projects and clients that don't fit their hedgehog. And that's the brutal reality. Once you identify your hedgehog, you must fire clients, kill projects, or say no to promotions that don't align. It's uncomfortable. It feels like leaving money on the table. But every yes to something outside your core is a no to truly mastering what matters. It's a drag on your focus, your energy, and ultimately your profitability. If this hits home for you, drop a like, because this isn't just theory. It's the strategic pivot you need to dominate your niche, control your income, and beat back that feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed. Once you know what to do, you need the right person to drive it. And spoiler, it's probably not the charismatic genius. Why boring CEOs make billions. Level 5 leadership. You've seen them, the charismatic founder, the media darling plastered across every tech blog. They swagger, they pontificate, they command the spotlight. We worship these celebrity CEOs, the rock stars of the business world. But here's the kicker. For every Adam Newman who flies high on ego and investor tash, there are a dozen quiet, no-nonsense CEOs of boring plumbing supply chains who consistently, year after year, outperform tech giants. They build durable wealth while the media darlings crash and burn. This isn't just about the Icarus problem, where ego melts the wings. This is about ego versus sheer, unadulterated will. Forget the cult of personality. What truly propels organizations to sustained greatness, to those billions, it's what Jim Collins calls level 5 leadership. Now, before you roll your eyes thinking this is some touchy-feely corporate buzzword, hear me out. Level 5 leaders are a paradox. They combine extreme personal humility with an absolutely fanatical, ferocious professional will. Think about that for a second. Humility, not weakness, not indecision, but a profound lack of personal ego, a dedication that transcends self-interest, paired with an unyielding, almost stubborn, drive to achieve the long-term vision. This isn't just nice to have, this is a strategic weapon. Here's how you can spot it, and more importantly, how you can apply it. When something goes right, the level 5 leader points out the window, crediting the team, the environment, even luck. When things go sideways, they grab the mirror, accepting full responsibility, looking inward for what they could have done differently. Contrast that with the genius with 1,000 helpers model. You know the type, the one brilliant person at the top, surrounded by people whose primary job is to execute their vision, fix their mistakes, and stroke their ego. It feels good, right, to be the indispensable one, but honestly, that model is fragile. It crumbles the second that one genius hits a wall, gets bored, or burns out. Your side hustle, your department at work, it doesn't scale if it's entirely dependent on your genius. You become the bottleneck. The truly effective leaders, the ones who build sustainable value, who weather market volatility, even crazy inflation, they build systems and cultures that don't need them to be the hero every day. They set the direction, foster accountability, and then step back, letting their team own the wins and learn from the losses. They understand that a culture of shared responsibility and empowered action crushes individual brilliance every single time. It's the difference between driving a Ferrari yourself and building an entire F1 team that dominates the circuit. If this hits home for you, drop a like. It's about letting go of the need for credit and doubling down on the will to build something bigger than yourself. It's about designing a system where success isn't tied to your daily heroic efforts, but to the collective output of a motivated, aligned team. You have the leader, you have the focus. Now, how do you move without burning out? You stop pushing and start building momentum. The compounding effect of boredom, the flywheel. You're stuck in traffic, scrolling TikTok. Another life hack promises instant success. a killer app, a miracle moment. Your inner voice screams, "Just tell me the one thing." Well, I'm here to tell you that one thing doesn't exist. And frankly, the entire concept cripples your progress. Because true breakthroughs, they aren't about speed. They're about relentless, sometimes boring consistency. Picture this, a massive 5,000-pound stone wheel, heavy, immovable. That's your project, your side hustle, your career climb. It doesn't budge with a single Herculean shove. It yields to constant pressure. The author here, they shatter the illusion of the miracle moment. You know the one, the game-changing idea, the app that suddenly makes you a millionaire. It's a myth, and frankly, it's a destructive one, because what really propels you forward? The physics of compounding. Think about that stone wheel again. The first few pushes, agonizing. You strain, you sweat, it barely rotates. A millimeter, then another. But you keep pushing, day after day, week after week. Suddenly, something shifts. It's still hard, sure, but it starts moving. Then it rolls. Then it spins. That momentum builds. It becomes easier to sustain than it ever was to start. You don't need brute force anymore. You just need a steady hand. Now here's where things get controversial. We live in a pivot culture, right? Every business guru, every startup bro preaches fail fast, pivot often. And sometimes, yes, a pivot saves you from a sinking ship. But too often, it's a disguised excuse for impatience, for lack of commitment. Because what happens when you stop that 5,000-pound wheel? You kill its momentum. You lose all that hard-won energy. And then you have to start all over again. That's the real trap. Think of the YouTube creator. For 2 years, they're posting to 0 views, crickets. It's soul-crushing. Their friends are saying, "Dude, pivot, try TikTok, get a real job." But they keep pushing that wheel, posting, editing, learning. Then one video, the algorithm catches. Suddenly, momentum takes over, views spike, subscribers explode. That wasn't a miracle video. That was the culmination of 2 years of consistent, boring, almost invisible pushes. This isn't just about YouTube, by the way. This is your career. That promotion and office politics, it's not about one brilliant presentation. It's about showing up consistently. It's your side hustle, barely making rent in this inflation-hit economy. It's about showing up every single day, even when you're tired, especially when you're tired. The bottom line here, forget the flashy launches, ignore the growth hacks. Consistency trumps intensity every single time. It's about the relentless, often unglamorous grind. It's pushing that wheel a tiny bit every single day until it surges forward. This strategy unlocks sustainable success. It bypasses the hype and delivers real, tangible results. If this hits home for you, if you've ever felt that crushing weight of starting over, drop a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes the most revolutionary advice is also the most ancient. But wait, before you go all in on this book, we need to address the elephant in the room. This advice might actually kill your company in 2024.
The Fatal Flaw and the $100 Million Habit. You're grinding, aren't you? Stuck in that commuter crawl, scrolling through another mandatory email about Q3 deliverables, while your brain's whispering about that side hustle, the inflation hitting your wallet, the sheer grind of it all. You've seen the headlines, right? Tech giants shedding thousands, legacy media imploding. Companies that once championed the good to great model, the steady, incremental climb, suddenly got blindsided and slaughtered by lean, agile, often chaotic disruptors. Think OpenAI, rocketing past established players. Sound familiar in your own work life? Office politics eating your soul? That brings us to a seismic crack, a fatal flaw at the heart of much traditional business wisdom. Let's talk Circuit City. They weren't bad. They were good, even exemplary at their game. They perfected their operations, optimized their supply chain, adhered religiously to their established model. They were a textbook case of a well-run machine. And then, poof, gone. Not because they failed to be good, but because the very model they were so diligently upholding had shattered under the weight of market shifts and digital disruption. They clung to a meticulously polished deck chair while the entire ship plunged into the abyss. Honestly, some of that once golden advice doesn't just underperform now, it actively sabotages you. Take first who, then what. The idea? Assemble your superstar team, then chart your course. Sounds strategic, right? Noble, even. But in this AI-accelerated vortex we're all caught in, that's not just slow, it's a guaranteed death knell. While you're painstakingly vetting resumes and agonizing over the perfect who, some hungry two-person startup armed with a cheap server and a ChatGPT Pro subscription is already shipping features, capturing market share, and frankly, eating your lunch. Speed annihilates perfection. Relentless agility crushes careful deliberation. This isn't some abstract corporate theory. This impacts your ability to climb, to innovate, to survive these wild times. So, how do you navigate this minefield? How do you sidestep becoming another casualty, another Circuit City in a new era? You don't pile on more tasks. You don't chase every shiny new tool. You flip the entire script. This isn't about adding, it's about brutal, strategic subtraction. Enter the stop doing list. This isn't merely a habit you pick up, it's a $1 million mindset shift that unlocks exponential growth. Think about it. Every yes you reflexively blurt out to a non-essential request, every soul-sucking meeting that could have been an email, every mindless scroll through a social feed that just siphons your precious minutes, these aren't neutral acts. They drain your finite energy. They choke your cognitive bandwidth. They erode your chances of focusing on what truly propels your career, your side hustle, your personal projects forward. You're not just wasting time, you're squandering potential. This isn't some high-level consultancy mumbo-jumbo. This is tactical. This is actionable. What 3 specific things devour your time, strangle your productivity, and ultimately fail to move your personal or professional needle? Identify them right now. Seriously. You don't need corporate permission. You don't need to convene a cross-functional task force. You need to axe them from your day, immediately. That pointless daily status update email you write, figure out how to automate it, delegate it, or just obliterate it. That lukewarm, pointless meeting you dread showing up for, decline it. Send a quick email summary. That endless news feed keeping you perpetually informed but furiously unfocused, block it. Use a website limiter. Subtract to multiply. It's that ruthless and it's that brutally effective. This isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter by eliminating the work that doesn't matter. If this hits home for you, if you feel that familiar tug, drop a like. It means you're finally ready to reclaim your most valuable, non-renewable asset, your time. So, is this a business Bible or a history book? Here is my final verdict. Classic or dangerous? Both. Essential for mindset. It shatters assumptions, demands humility. You'll internalize the patient flywheel that propels greatness. But the blueprint? Dangerous. Brutal economy. Inflation-gobbling savings. Office politics. You can't afford glacial pace. That slowness cripples agility, stifles innovation, invites disaster for your side hustle. Bottom line for you, embrace humility. Build your flywheel. Strip away its slowness. Extract wisdom. Ignite your speed. Me? Walking the talk. That app clogging my focus? Deleting it. Stops today. Resonates? Reclaim time? Drop a like. Your turn. Comment below one thing for your stop doing list. What are you killing for energy? Watch this next video to see why hustle culture is technically a scam.